watched this sit down with Tucker. You know how I felt? A part of me felt when I was watching his body language that he's lonely. And what do I mean by he's lonely? Not lonely as in he's sitting around listening to Only the Lonely. I'm not talking that kind of lonely. I watched him. He wasn't the typical fighter himself. I watched him. He was a little bit more careful. He was a little bit more held back. He was a little bit more like, man, like how many more things is he dealing with? Are you going to pay for this guy's legal fees? Are you going to pay for that guy's legal fees? Are you going to pay for this guy? I remember when we started the company and the company that sued us, they didn't just sue me. I'm like, if you sue me, I'm fine. Sue me, the company, and my wife, I'll represent us. But they ended up suing a bunch of my guys. So they were trying to divide them against us. We almost didn't work out the first 6 months. Legal fees, have to pay for this or pay for that. You got to get the money. You got to get and then if we're spending the money, we're going to go out of business at a company. If my guys are spending the money, they're saying it's all your fault, Pat. He's going through that right now. And there's an element of no matter how tough you are, internally when you're by yourself, you're alone. So do you know Onassis? Who Onassis was?
Onassis?
You're saying who she married?
Yeah.
He was a general, I believe.
Onassis was at one point the richest man in the world.
He was up there. Yeah.
And after Jackie and John F. Kennedy got a divorce, Jackie ended up marrying Onassis. Okay? So now, Onassis was a good-looking guy, handsome, loved, respected, powerful, pushed the envelope. He was a womanizer. Girls loved him. He had all these weird art collections. He was the guy. Like you wanted to go on the boat to be at Monaco, all this other stuff. An incident happened between Jackie and John F. Kennedy, and eventually Jackie got close to him through the sister, all this other stuff, and he was always a fan of Jackie. So they ended up marrying each other. Here's a crazy thing. Do you know who Onassis became best friends with at the time that trusted him the most? Churchill. Him and Churchill became very good friends. Churchill didn't trust a lot of people at that time in his life, but he trusted him. He trusted the fact that he could spend time with Onassis and they would sit down, whether it's playing cards or but Churchill felt like he can open up around a guy like him. There was no competition. Onassis wasn't trying to use Churchill to go get women or to go do this. There's nothing Churchill could give Onassis, nothing that he couldn't get on his own. So Churchill felt this was a sincere relationship. When you're Trump, you know what's the scary thing when you're Trump and you're in the last 10, 20 years of your life? There's a part of you that's wondering, everyone tries to take something from me. They're either using me to get a relationship. They're either using me to get some fame. They're either using me to get eyeballs. They're either using me to do something they're going to do in 4 or 8 years. And when you're in the last 10% of your life, 20% of your life, you start asking questions and saying, man, am I just being used at this point? Is that all it is? Am I just being used? Am I just being used? I don't know if he has an Onassis friend in his life. I don't know if he has somebody in his life where he can sit down to and just talk, and that person has zero desire to go and say, you won't believe what Trump and I talked about today at dinner. He told me this. Please don't tell anybody. Just between us. I forget. And you know when people say just between us? Well, guess what happens when it's just between us? It's just between you and everybody else nowadays. There's only a few people in your life when they say, dude, nothing's going to go to anybody else. Yet when you're working in a 1099 business, and you're building salespeople that anybody can leave you at any time and go anywhere else. They don't have to be with you because they have to. They leave you because of what? They choose to stay with you or leave with you. You know what's one of the ways you get people on the 1099 side to trust you long term? No matter how much you learn about these guys, good, bad, ugly, dark, anything, keep it. Have it between the two of you. The value of that is one of the biggest insurance policies. I look at him and I say, I wonder how much he's got my back. Is he 100%? Maybe 80%? Where's Adam? Is he 90%? That's how I look at everybody. That's how I look at you. That's how I size everybody up. I'm sizing up to see where this person's at. And then that's going to give me a percentage of how much I can open up with this person and how much I can't open up with this person. Then imagine being Trump the last 7 years. They've ruined your incredible life that you had. Your life was awesome. Everybody would go to parties, dinner, everything. You had an incredible life. You lost all of that just because you run for office. Now, all of the people you gave money to behind closed doors want to ruin your life, and you don't have an Onassis in your life. I think Trump needs a relationship where the other person wants nothing from him, and it's a low-key relationship that nobody knows, nobody needs to know. It's off the record, never interviews, never public, never tweeting nothing. that is the most valuable relationship for him today, and I don't know if he has it. He kind of seemed a little bit, I don't know if I can use the word defeated. I just kind of will use the word of
fatigued.
Little bit fatigued.
Trump?
Is what I would say.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Really?
I got that feeling yesterday a little bit. I got that.
And you've never said that.
I've never said
You've
that.
always talked about how high energy is.
I don't mean by high energy. I think he'll still do laps around most 25-year-olds when it comes down to work. This is not what I'm talking about. This is when, when your boys, who always said they have your back, they have your back, they have your back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then some of them are like, well, look, man, I talked to Mary and just, I'm so sorry. I would, but, Mary talked about the kids and, they're trying to go into the school and, she knows that if our son, could be a guy that goes to Harvard, and I just know if I do that I don't want to hurt John. And you look at him, you're like, wow, bro, you told me you had my back and now you're doing this? It's nothing personal. Do you know how many people I've told him that in the last year and a half? How many people think I've told him that? 100? 200? And he's sitting there saying, I got you the job at freaking White House. I got you that job on the show. I made a phone call to the NBC executive. I got your wife to get the kid to go into that school. Now you're doing this. Oh, my. He's experienced that times a few hundred. And you know what he's probably asking? Hey, mom, hey, dad, what do I do now with these people? Like, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, all of those calls you made for people you didn't have to do that nobody knows. Now those same people you helped them elevate in their lives now behind closed doors want to be like, you didn't do nothing and gratitude is gone. I'm experiencing that a little bit on my own side in a different level with people you're in business with. I've experienced that the last, 5 years, whatever the timeline is. And you kind of say, okay, but on a minuscule level compared to a guy like this. Mm-hmm. So that's the feeling I got when I saw him. Look, it is what it is. We're going to see what's going to happen. But, that was my feedback when I